Hello from Biggleswade. This is Guillem Balague. Hello to all of you, wherever you are in the world. In fact, it's not just Biggleswade, it's the clubhouse of Biggleswade United. These are the famous pictures, the Hall of Fame, where we've got loads of famous people holding the shirt, some of which we're going to be talking about today. This is the return of Coffee with Guillem live. And guess what? Either if you want it or not, basically we're going to do it every week. Because I love talking to you and I love arguing. I love hearing what you have to say, and I hope you like hearing what I have to say. So why don't we start with one of the hot topics of the moment. This question comes from Michael Drives. I don't need to tell you. Coffee with Guillem live. You ask the questions. I answer if I can. And if you cannot, you help me with the answers. But yes, hot topic. Michael Drives is saying, why do you think it's not working for Lopetegui at West Ham? Is his style not fit for the Premier League, or is he just not the coach people hoped he would become? There's so much to say about that, but I don't want to spend 20 minutes on this. But I want to say, first of all, that I saw the team playing very well against Newcastle away and played very well. And I was there at the ground against Leicester, 31 shots on goal, which is a record for the division this season, right? So they created the chances. They just didn't convert the goals. They had considered an early one, and they considered two bad goals as well that they need to improve on. No doubt about it. I also see that they are 5 points from Spurs. I think it's 6 points from relegation. And in the last 19 games of last season, so the second half of the season, they won 4 games, right? In the first 14 of this season, they won 4 games. So this is not a winning side, but it's a side that has been asked by the top, by Mr. Sullivan, to change the style, to do something else, something different. And there are players that will help with that, and a manager that knows how to do that. And in fact, some of the moments against Newcastle and Leicester as well of dominance, of controlling the ball, of basically dictating what happens on the pitch, was representative of a Lopetegui side. The result doesn't reflect what happened, but obviously results dictate what happens with a coach and a football team. Up till this point, he hasn't been sacked. Wolves game, big game on Monday. I know a lot of fans are annoyed with him. I heard them sing, "You'll be sacked in the morning" of your own manager during a game. That's a surprising attitude, but okay, people are annoyed because perhaps for some, he's not the manager that will sort things out at West Ham. What I see, West Ham finished 9th last season, and Lopetegui, former national side of Spain, Real Madrid manager, won the Europa League with Sevilla, is a top manager. And like everyone, needs not only the confidence of the people around him, needs time to transform things. I'm sure that with Kudus, that is present, ever present, with Fulkert, who doesn't, if he doesn't get injured, with Edson Alvarez growing, you're talking about a team with potential to be top 10. And if he continues, he will find ways to get to the top 10. I believe that. But, fans can, of course, give whatever opinion they want about anything. And basically, there are some that will be patient and others that won't be. Quite clearly, that kind of tension that comes from the stands doesn't help the team. And you see a team that is lacking confidence, the confidence that gives you to win 2 games in a row. If they manage to do that, I'm convinced they will turn things around. Let's see if the club thinks the same. There's been a story out there about a clash with Todibo, and it is true that Todibo has been, I think he's been training with the under-21s, but certainly after the clash with Lopetegui, it was a moment of tension that happens in the changing room. It went a little bit too far, but then at that point, the coach, the manager, has got to take action and has to reinforce his authority. So the players put aside, and the manager leaves him out of the squad against Leicester City. Let's see how that gets resolved. But of course, when things are not happening, there is tension, and how you react to that tension is also very, very important. I see a Lopetegui that has got clear ideas of what he wants to do. I also see him tired. I suppose it has to do with so much pressure going on, with the fact that things are not being doesn't feel pleasing for the fans. But I'm convinced that this manager can take a team that finished 9th last season around the same place if, despite the investment, there's many changes that are taking place. It could be the platform for something bigger if the club is patient enough. And I know that David Sullivan is not one to actually take rush decisions. So if it happens in the next few days, it will be because he thinks, Lopetegui is not the way forward. But at the moment, as I said, nothing has happened. Big game on Monday against Wolves. What else can we talk about? John Nichols, hi G, enjoying that shirt. Thank you. Flowers and color, that's what we should all wear. Gives happiness. I feel happy wearing this kind of clothes. That's Guy London, of course, for those of you that are into your fashion. Suitable festive, yeah, it's a little bit Christmassy. How do you think Ruud will do at Leicester? This is an interesting choice, Ruud van Nistelrooy. I know that they approached Carlos Corberán, and Carlos is a completely different manager. And that is, to me, the thing about Leicester. What do they want to be? How does the club answer that from within? What do they want to be? Because it's not the same Enzo Maresca than Steve Cooper, than Ruud van Nistelrooy, than Carlos Corberán. They are completely different. So what is it that they want to do? And at the moment, it's about survival. Everybody knew that. If Enzo Maresca had stayed, that was the target. He would have been happy doing that if he had stayed. He wanted everybody to accept that that was the case. And I think now everybody's come to the realization that it's all about survival. It was interesting in the press conference. I heard Ruud van Nistelrooy. I was there. And he was talking about the platform that we have to build right now is the fans making the noise they make, the togetherness of the team and how they work for each other. And now we will start doing things. So you're going to see in his eyes a different Leicester City to what you're seeing now. They were defending in the box, very deep. And I know the result was 3-1, but they considered 31 shots on goal. 31 shots on goal. I don't think a manager goes into a pitch and says, you know what, let's actually concede 31 shots on goal and let's win 3-1. They have to improve on that. And I think the way that Ruud wants to do that is to defend higher up the pitch. A lot of work to do because some of that was happening, of course, last season in the Championship. Let's see if he's got the squad for it. But what he needs is everybody's togetherness. So should we stay in the Premier League? Because the next question comes from a Manchester United fan. Rupi Lal says, thoughts on Man United's performance in the first and second half of last night's game. Right, I was watching live the Aston Villa game, Brentford. So I've only seen the highlights. But let me take that question somewhere else, like a politician would do. And let me tell you about Ruben Amorim. I wrote an article for the BBC webpage, a blog in which, at a time when Ruben Amorim was linked with Liverpool, I told you what he was like. You don't need to go back to it because now you started to see it. He's empathetic. He explains himself very well. He's humble, but at the same time, he sees this as an adventure. For instance, to give more to this answer, VAR of Words, which is a podcast I recommend you to listen to, where they talk about Manchester United. It says, after all the false starts, as a United fan group, we remain wary. Is Amorim the right man for United? So as I was saying, it is absolutely the right man for United right now. What does that mean? Does that mean that he's going to win and that he's going to take Manchester United to the Champions League and then to win the league? I don't know. He doesn't know either. But you know what? In this journey that he's started with you, he wants you to come along. He's going to tell you how it is. He's not going to just play games. He's not going to just try to tell you something that is not. He's going to tell you how the progress is going of the process, how much he's enjoying it or not, things that need to be worked on. You will be with him. The reason why he left Sporting Club is very obvious. At this point, Manchester United comes for you and you think I've got to take this. He also knew that Pep Guardiola was staying at Manchester City. All those facts are relevant, but he wanted to leave Sporting Club at the end of the season. So he was ready for the next level. Interestingly enough, perhaps a year and a half ago, thought, I think I need to prepare myself better. He has done, and he reads books, talks to people related to football, and not just football things either, or not just that. And he's developing an understanding of people and tactics that is of the highest level. So he's going to try his best to change the dynamic at Manchester United and change the culture of the club. Meanwhile, you're going to enjoy it. There seemed to be with Ten Hag a coldness about him that didn't allow you to be with him in the tough times. But with Ruben Amorim, you're going to get that. So I think you're going to enjoy it. Right, what else have we got? Can't believe we've already done 11 minutes of this conversation with you. Richard Esquia is saying, if Mbappé continues this way, what do you see Madrid do with him next season? What? He's the crucial part of the present and future of Real Madrid. And he will become, because you've seen him already how good he is, he will become that player. Now, the interesting thing, I don't know if we've got stats of him of what he's done in La Liga so far, is that it doesn't feel like he's impressing, because he's not impressing. Against Athletic Club, for instance, missed a penalty, as he had done against Liverpool in the Champions League. There it is, 14 matches played, 8 goals, 1 assist, just simply not enough. And some of that have been penalties. But then you wonder, why is it not happening for him? Let's stay with him for the moment. And there's a second part to this answer. Let's stay with him because still feels lacking confidence. Without Vinicius, you see more of an Mbappé that seemed the one at PSG, runs on the left-hand side and the center as well. It's not fair to say that he doesn't enjoy being in the center, like a center forward. Perhaps it's not his biggest strength. He wants to participate more. But in that place, when things work collectively, he's going to score so many goals. He'll be much happier. But that click of the team has not happened. So on one hand, you've got Mbappé, who, the way he took both penalties against Liverpool and Athletic Club, the same way to the left-hand side of the goalkeeper, the right-hand side of the taker, which tends to be the safe side, not at the strongest, in a mid-height, really not very impressive. Not somebody that goes like, I can do this with my eyes closed. So lack of confidence is important. But what else is happening at Real Madrid that will explain what's happening to Mbappé? And in fact, we've got a question that puts that perfectly, poses to me the perfect step towards what I want to talk about. I cannot read your name, but it says, please, what is our problem in Real Madrid? Mbappé, Ancelotti, Perez. And for me, it goes back to this question. Can Ancelotti turn things around at Real Madrid? Real Madrid right now is a team that when they've been put under pressure, start again. When they play the highest level of football, they cannot match it in intensity, in responses, collective responses, even individual responses. And against Athletic Club, you saw what's wrong with the team. When Athletic Club came off the tracks, they were just biting. They were aggressive in pressure. They were in the last third, just stopping Real Madrid building from the back. And Real Madrid did not have answers to that. Not enough answers. At this level, they are required. Then, when the ball got to the midfielders, there was not movement of the ball. There was not enough movement. And again, even the biggest clubs, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Juventus, Bayern, they all have a lot of strategies to get the ball from the back, but also when it gets to the midfield and the last third, movements that are done constantly to give opportunities to the midfielders, Ceballos, for instance, last night, Valverde, to give a pass for things to happen. So when the ball gets to Mbappé, there is actually not enough defenders that have been cleared, not enough space in front of him, not enough 1v1s, not enough football that plays to his strength. So we go full circle. As a team, Real Madrid now, who has been trusting Courtois and a individual last season mostly, be it Rodrigo or Vinicius, now they cannot just go back to that and think this is going to take us where we need to go. They need more. And Ancelotti said in a press conference recently, when he felt that the lack of trust from the high hierarchy started to be felt, he came out with a line saying, you know, I've managed, I've put 3,000 lineups in my career. I've made 4,000 substitutions or whatever it is. It wasn't a message to the the fans or to the media saying, why is happening? Why is this happening? Why are people not trusting me? It was a message to the club to say, look, I've sorted it out before. Just bear with me. Because, of course, the names of especially Xabi Alonso has been heard in the media in Madrid as a replacement to Ancelotti. I think Xabi Alonso has got possibly this year to go out Bayer Leverkusen, and after that, if Real Madrid come, it may be really good possibility of him becoming the manager. And Ancelotti is going through what he went through in his last season in the previous time at Real Madrid, which is like, already not trusting me. I mean, it's only, 6 months ago that I won the Champions League, even less than that, and the league. But that's Real Madrid. They want to be at the top constantly. And right now, it doesn't seem to have enough collective answers to what's, to what's required on a football pitch. So we're talking about Real Madrid. We have to talk about Barcelona, don't we? So Giacomo, hello Giacomo, says, what is happening with the current loss of form of Barcelona? You obviously referring to the defeats and draws before the victory against Mallorca, in which Lewandowski was left on the bench in midweek, and they beat Mallorca away 5-1, where Lamine Yamal started. And this is very important. No Lamine Yamal in the starting 11, Barcelona don't win. They lose games, in fact, or they drew games. Why is Barcelona depend so much on Lamine Yamal? There is a bunch of reasons. The first one of it is that he is so, in a way, unconscious of what's happening. He goes onto a pitch and is like, I'm just going to play my game. He pushes defenses now for what he can do, not only what he is doing, but for what he can do. For a 17-year-old to actually have that fear put that fear into the rivals is just amazing. But it's happening, which means that if the rivals drop deeper, it's harder for them to attack. It's obviously harder for them to recover the ball, and it's easier for Barcelona that Lamine finds a lot of players in front of him, making runs, waiting for his pass that tends to be accurate, like he did in one of the goals against Mallorca to Rafinha with the outside of his foot. All those things Lamine can do. So 12 games he started, right? 12 victories to Barcelona. Not by chance. But there is also something else. Barcelona started very well too because of the defensive line. It was so high. Everybody was caught offside, and the pressure was so good and so constant and so well organized that teams just didn't have a solution until they found one. And that's what's happening as well. They know that if they switch the ball or they get players, midfielders running into space, and then you kind of deceive Barcelona by thinking, is this guy that's making the run, that's gonna get the pass, but then you stretch the defense. It's not the one receiving it, it's the second one. Those kind of things that people can prepare in training has made Barcelona harder to defend. There's another question on Barcelona before we move on, which is from Nat Ismail. Bring back Revista de la Liga. Revista de la Liga was a show of its time because there was no internet, no Twitter. We could tell the stories. We could keep them for 1-2 days and then tell you exclusively. We broke a lot of news in that show. And there was a great combination between, all those people that were there, from Grant Hunter to Rob Palmer, to Jerry Armstrong, Terry Gibson. So many people have been in Revista, from Fabio Capello to Rafa Benitez to Cesc Fabregas, so many. I've got in my YouTube channel a meeting that I had with most of the Revista crew, including producers, assistant producers, etc., presenters. It's on my YouTube channel, and it was a good memory. We went back to a lot of the stories that happened then. It'd be good for you to have a look. Anyway, question: do you think Barcelona can go all the way in the Champions League? You cannot go, I don't think, from the Barcelona that we've seen and the Xavi, which, by the way, in the league has got the same points, more or less, than the one of Hansi Flick. That's this last season's Xavi's team. But you cannot go from not succeeding in Europe and losing against Monaco, for instance, being inconsistent still and winning the Champions League. There are teams better prepared for that. But it's a strange season in which Manchester City, Real Madrid are not fulfilling their potential. So Aston Villa is 9th, and I think we're going to go into Aston Villa next before we close this meeting with you, this chat with you. Anyway, when that happens, And with this new format, it makes it interesting. But I think at the end, we're going to see the usual suspects with a better Real Madrid, a better Manchester City. There'll be Bayern Munich should be there, and the big sides. And I don't think Barcelona is there at that level yet. So let's finish because we are done already 20 minutes. This was going to be between 20 and 25 minutes. I feel that that's a good length for you. Nad Ismail again. Oh, no, that's another one that we're going to get now on Aston Villa. Emery's impact on Aston Villa. I'll tell you one thing that's happened. I was at the game yesterday, and there was doubts about Aston Villa, wasn't it? 8 games without a victory, and people were saying, what's going on? And I tell you how Unai reacted to it, because as you know, and I haven't hidden the fact, I'm writing a book on Unai Emery and Aston Villa. It's a picture of the club right now. What is it that's there? How it's done, the success that has taken place, how is it done financially and tactically? Who are the people behind it? Who is Unai Emery? That's what Awakening the Giant will be about, which will come out in August. But let's stay on that fact. So Aston Villa, this is the cover, by the way. On the cover, I haven't decided. I've got 3 possibilities. Soon it will be, I don't think it's there yet, a poll, and I would like you to help me to choose which one of the 3 covers that we've prepared will be the one that you like the most, and that will be the one that we'll use for the book. There will be a poll first on Blue Sky. Can I advertise Blue Sky here? I'm on Blue Sky. I don't know if you are there yet, but I'm there. I'll put the poll there, and then at some point it'll come on the Sky. But let's go back to what Unai has done in this period of 8 games without a win. Before the win yesterday, which was a very big game. They needed 3 points and they got it. 3-1 victory. The record Aston Villa, look at that. 128 games, 66 wins, 33 losses, 229, lots of goals, 180 conceded, to Manager of the Month. And what he did first was, as always, look at what was being done and analyze that in detail and continue doing the same. You know, like Pep Guardiola sometimes says, when things are not going well, more chocolate, which is one Spanish expression that means more of the same. Unai didn't do more of the same, did the same. Analysis, his long video chats with the players, analysis of the rival, individual analysis. There is 3 coaches that dedicate their time to individual coaching. That's been done. But in the last week, interestingly enough, he's done less. And that's a bit of a surprise. He's done less video, less talk of where we should be at the end, because he's been talking a lot of, top 5, top 6, we should be there, blah, 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 putting pressure to people because they want them not to fall asleep. And he's taken that off the table now and says, look, you're going to go game by game. Change of approach, because perhaps he felt that this squad maybe is not ready for that kind of demands in the Champions League, demands in the Premier League. Statistically, you can see that in the Champions League, the team runs more, does more. It's logical. And less, does a little bit less in the Premier League. He wants the balance of that. He wants the Premier League to be the most important competition of the season, is the one that gives you prestige and the possibility to go back to the Champions League or to Europe anyway. And that, I think, is, for me, is the target, to go back to Europe, because this is the conclusion that he's taken, and I think his coaching staff as well, which is that this project at Aston Villa, with him in charge, it's ahead of a schedule. It's ahead of a schedule. It's in the Champions League. How could that be? Nobody expected that. Obviously, it happened, and it's brilliant. It's all about being in Europe and maintaining the level and keep increasing that level and those demands. So being in Europe should be the target this season, not so much Champions League, and see what happens in the Champions League. There's one more question about the book. One on Biggleswade United, good, and a third personal one, and that will be the 3 last questions. So Aritza Bosse says, why did you choose to write a book on Villa and Emery? Sometimes it's the other way around. The book was chosen for me in a way. Having done Messi, Ronaldo, Pep Guardiola, Pochettino, Maradona, he was talking to the publishers. It was like, what is there out there that people will be curious about? And they proposed, how about Unai Emery? I thought, okay. Let me have a look. Let me see if I can have access. And this is going to be a non-official but authorized book, which means I have access to the club. I talk to many people, many more that I have to talk. I've got only the 31st of March for the draft to be finished. Then I can add a little bit more after that until the end of the season. But the next three months, I'm going to have to talk to a lot of people, a lot more people, and I have to, I have to write. I don't know where I'm going to find the time, but I'm sure I will. Next question, and that will be, if I'm not mistaken, on Manchester United, the Bedfordshire Football Podcast, which I recommend. What does the future hold for Biggleswade United and any big plans coming up? A little bit like Unai Emery, game by game. The women's side, the two senior sides of women's, they have to push on. I would like to see the first team going at least one division above in the next 2-3 years and stay there and keep growing. I would like the men's to be in the playoffs this season, and we're there or thereabouts. Certainly, we're fighting for it, and it's very, very exciting. The reserve sides is finding some balance as well, be mid-table and push on for the end of the season. And the academy, we've got 10 teams, and including a very good under 18s down to under 7s. And that's about it, because we cannot grow, not enough facilities in the area. So just keep going, keep working at it. And one more, and that's the personal one, which I was surprised about, but I can answer, which is this one. How many flights do you take in a year? What is your favorite airline and favorite airport? I tell you, the favorite airport, Girona, is so small. You just walk through the security and passport and you're there. And I love those airports. Airline, to me now, getting a flight to anywhere in Europe is really like getting the bus or getting a taxi. I fall asleep most of the time, and I don't mind the EasyJets and Ryanairs of this world. I don't really mind. But Qatar Airlines is a completely different level. You have to say that. And how many flights taken a year? This is not a very green question or a very green answer. A lot. I live between England and Spain, and I have to travel. But I have been doing a coffee with Guillem, a special one with Real Betis, which I recommend, in which they do a lot of green stuff, ecological stuff. Really go and have a look, because it's very, very fascinating. And Real Betis is one of the greenest, not just by the color of the shirt, one of the greenest clubs in the world. Just 3 comments to finish the show from King Kong 100, straight from the source. Balague is always correct with his news. Thank you very much. Secondly, Nad Ismail, thank you for answering, Guillem. My pleasure. I hope to see you next week. And the third one, Highbury's local badger. I will get the book, God willing. Yes, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. I haven't written a word yet, but I hope it's fine. So remember that you've seen me here on Facebook, certainly. Oh, Jack Holman says, Forever Green is a great example by Betis for other clubs. It absolutely is. You need to look at my coffee with that I've done with Betis. So as I said, you got this on the Sky, on X, you got this on Instagram, but you can join me as well on Blue Sky. Those are my details. Very easy to find. Hope to grow there and give you stories there and shows and everything else. But otherwise, everything will be in the other socials as well. Just want to say goodbye before it gets to 30. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you next week.